that takes a leap of faith to believe that.
Thank you for the beautiful presentation.
It was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was still confused as to how all this can mean that something that's naturally impossible can happen in nature.
Yeah.
And I was wondering whether that reduces to an argument that whether God exists or not.
Well, first of all, the laws of nature tell us what typically go on in our universe when it's left to itself, right? So if I were to take this pen, let's say, and I drop it, law of gravity, right? I could do that 1,000,000 times over and the same thing's going to happen. Now, I'm going to treat you all to something very special here tonight. You're going to remember this because this is going to be absolutely amazing. Are you ready for this? Isn't that amazing? It didn't drop. And why? Because my hand entered the scene and altered the normal course of events. What a miracle is, it's not a violation of the laws of nature. It's not an exception to the laws of nature. It's just simply an instance when the hand of God enters our universe and alters the normal course of events. It's not left to itself. Nature is not left to itself. Also, if God exists, the creator and sustainer of the universe, if he can do that and give life to us, then why couldn't he raise someone from the dead? It would be unlikely by natural causes, but the God who created natural law could certainly change something whenever he wanted to.
Okay. But the thing is that natural law is a law because it cannot be broken or nothing can interfere in it.
Oh, no, so that's not true. There are other laws. I mean, you have to show that the laws of nature are indefeasible. And there are some, like the law of conservation of energy, where they would say that some scientists would say that is indefeasible. But then there would be others who say, no, all laws of nature are defeasible. Philosophers of science would say that. So, listen, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a philosopher of science. I couldn't tell you the difference between a K-meson and a quantum fluctuation. I'm a historian, and historians focus on terra firma, where life occurs. And so you've got philosophers of science who are operating up in the clouds, and so say the laws of nature are indefeasible. Some of them are, at least, and others saying, no, they're all defeasible. Well, I don't know. I'm not a philosopher of science. But when I see really good testimony of miraculous events that have happened, even in our present day, I look at that and say, well, I'm going to go with the scientific position that is in concert with what I observe happening within our reality on terra firma.
Okay, but I'm not aware of any laws of nature that are defeasible, like you said. Is the law of conservation of energy not applicable everywhere in the universe? Is that what you mean?
I don't know. When I say that, some say that laws of nature that some of the laws of nature are indefeasible, and they usually talk about the law of conservation energy. But then they'll also say that some laws of nature are defeasible. Again, I'm not a physicist, so I really can't go beyond that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's physically impossible. So if there's a natural law that would allow it, then that wouldn't be a natural law. It would be something that's interfering in the physical world from the outside. And that's not a physically possible thing.
So I guess it's how we would define the law of nature then, right? If a man died, was brutally executed, let's say he was beheaded. And let's suppose you saw it, you witnessed it, and then you saw the next day this same person was alive and maybe had a scar here. Would you say that goes against the laws of nature?
Of course not. No?
No? Okay. So what would you call it then? Would you call it a miracle?
This is the exact example of something, say, like a magic trick. You would see that everything, you're looking at the entire trick and you wouldn't see anything wrong. But only the performer knows that there is a trick. And you'd either just believe in it or say, no, this is entirely impossible. There is a trick, because it's physically impossible.
So you're saying there's no amount of evidence that could convince you that that really happened then?
Yes, and there are good reasons for that.
Right.
Like, there are physical and mathematical reasons that the laws of nature cannot be changed, or
So if the God who created the laws of nature and if he created all this stuff, are you saying that he can't do anything? Even God could not come in and change things?
well, yeah, the thing is that the laws of nature cannot be created.
How do you know that?
Well, let's say if you go back to the creation of the universe at the beginning of time, for example, that's where everyone thinks that the constants of nature get their values and the laws of nature get their form. Then before that, there is no possibility, there is no space for God to exist and create those possibilities.
If God is immaterial, though, he's spaceless and he's timeless, so he doesn't need that.
Right, but the only immaterial thing there is before the beginning of the universe is the multiverse.
You don't know
And
that. There's no evidence for the multiverse.
Yeah.
It's a possibility, but that takes a leap of faith to believe that.
Well,
It's also material.
it's I don't think it's material, no, because when the universe is created, it's like one of an infinite number of possibilities, and when infinities and eternities are introduced, you cannot introduce anything beyond those. So this is why there's nothing that can surpass those multiverse hypotheses. And the evidence for the multiverse is the inflationary models, and because we have evidence for the inflation, and all inflationary models predict a multiverse, and there is a multiverse.
Yeah.
So,
My friend, you've got more faith than I do. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Yep.